Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour Podcast.
Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 271. Thank you for joining us tonight. Brian, how you doing?
It's been a long week. I apologize for, once again, needing to push this episode a day or two. Real life and work got in the way. But, Chambers, I have a little story for you. A little embarrassment, I will call it. That was a great way to start off my night before we hopped on here. Would you like me to regale the tale for you?
Brian, I don't have many wins, and my wins are your losses. So please, Brian, please do.
So, unfortunately, in my relationship, I am forced to be the social one when it comes to setting up things for kids' parties. I got to reach out to parents and whatever. My daughter's birthday is coming up soon. She no longer is going to the school she went to last year. I only knew one other parent's contact info, so I was trying to get names of other people that were in her class. She gave me a name of one of the other girls' mothers. I reach out, and I'm like, hey, my daughter's party's coming up. Would your daughter be interested? Yep. She's super excited. Can't wait. Awesome. Probably 30 minutes after that, my wife and I were sitting on the couch, and we're in the room with the kids. I find a really funny video on Facebook that I want to share with her. And I usually only share like Instagram things with her. I didn't realize that when I auto-copied and went to hit share, it I guess defaulted to the last person I texted, which was this other mom. So I sent her this video. And the video in question was this guy going over to his wife while she was sleeping and hit her in the face with a hot dog a couple times, threw it on the ground, and when she woke up, he would act like he was zipping up his pants. And she woke up, she's like, did you just fucking... And, dropping F-bombs, cursing, hitting them. Me and my wife are laughing our asses off. I realized I sent it to the wrong mom. Monica's laughing her ass off at me that I sent it to the wrong mom. It's been 3 hours, and she has not responded back. So... that was my royal embarrassing fuck up, and it has been, just about 3 hours since I sent it, and the last thing I sent to her was like, sorry, haha, I meant to send that to the wife. No response. So, I really think there needs to be an unsend button somehow, because I deleted it thinking that could unsend it, but then Monica's like, no, that doesn't unsend it. I was like, oh, shit. So
Right, it's like when you use Outlook and you send work emails and you send it to the wrong person and you try to do the recall thing, and all it does is send an email saying they want to recall this message. It doesn't work. There's no stopping it.
So yeah, I may have just reduced my daughter's attendee account by 1, Jim.
Right now, some poor woman's getting the shit kicked out of her by her overbearing husband, being called a cheating whore, all because Bri had to make with the laughs. Way to go, Bri. Way to go.
I kind of, and then I said to the wife, I was like, this is your fault because you make me in charge of this shit. So, in theory, Jim, I'm the victim.
Oh, yeah, sure. Big time.
So, because of all that, I was like, you know what? I cracked open a beer earlier than before you and I hopped on. And I'm actually sticking with a PA brewery, and it's one that you and I think have talked about on this podcast before. It's Evergreen out of Camp Hill, PA, which I have no idea where that is.
Doesn't ring a bell. No idea.
But the brewery, this is one of these guys. They put a lot of effort into their art. This one is called Tusk. It's their double IPA. It's an 8%er. And I'm going to describe it the best way I can to you. It's basically like an elephant with a bat with a scythe. Like, I don't know. There's some craziness going on. It did semi-remind me of the artwork of a game that I've been playing the shit out of, which we'll get to in a little bit. But it's a very, eye-catching can. And even when I went up to register, the girl, ringing me out was like, that's a really cool can. I was like, yeah, caught my eye. And she's like, yeah, they knew what they were doing. And it was like a whole thing. But even she acknowledged that this is a pretty goddamn interesting can. So these guys know what they're doing. And The IPA itself, it's pretty good. It's super unfiltered. It almost looks like diluted orange juice, in my opinion. The beer is not one I'd get again, but I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like every other double IPA. Like, it's nothing that special.
Dude,
So,
what? Did we just like hit a point where like almost nothing is going to stand out at this point? We've had so many goddamn beers over the years that it's just like every IPA I have, I'm just like, hey, it's an IPA. Every hazy, every double, unless they do something like really off the wall or just like manage to like nail that perfect balance, I'm just like, that's all right.
There was like one or two last year that I still to this day say like hit me a different way where I was like, holy shit, these stand out, these are amazing. But yeah, no, something has to do, it has to be really unique. If you're just a basic ass IPA and it's another one like this was a 4-pack for whatever, $18, whatever it is, probably $20. You know, it other than the advertising, that's the only thing that's going to make it stand out. Other styles I think really can stick out of the crowd, but IPAs especially, yeah, you're going to get lost in a sea of other ones.
Yeah, I mean, even for me being like the big sour guy, it's like I've had so many sours that it's really tough for anything to really stick out at this point.
I guess it makes you truly appreciate when something does. Like you and I mean, we've gone on this tear now of like probably being one of the few people that support hams because we're like, this is a light beer that's way more drinkable and the hangover's not that bad. Like of all the weird beers that have stuck out to us, it's fucking hams.
Bri, it's us and all the Midwest. Apparently that's like it's like the Yingling of the Midwest, I think.
Well, they're ahead of their time. I'll say that because that one has definitely stuck out to us. But what about you, Chambers? What are you drinking tonight?
Right, I am going back to our college days. I am drinking Lion's Head Light, an old favorite, an old standby, and it's actually one that we were drinking a bit this weekend because we had a little bit of a meetup, didn't we, Bri?
We sure did. We sure did. So if you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, anything, we posted out that we got to meet with our buddy Scarlet Sprites, who was gracious enough to have myself, Jim, our buddy Dan from Console Wars, and Michelle from PD's Power Hour.
And the Point and Drink Adventure, Bri. Get with the times.
Well, once again, Joe, I know we thanked you enough, but thank you so much for having us over. And the dude has a legit badass arcade in his basement. The setup is awesome. His game room setup is awesome. He's got pinball machine throughout the house. Like it's a gamer's wet dream in that place.
Wall.
And the cabinets.
A wall of Neo Geo MVS games. AES games. Insane.
Yeah. I mean it was one of those things where I was just like, this is really what a gamer would want. And like I said, playing the arcades, earlier that week I went to an arcade with my son, and I even remarked on like how his controls and like some of his like triggers and buttons and everything were way more responsive than an actual real arcade. And because the dude puts in a ton of work and takes a ton of pride in his machines. We'll put his link below. He's on the podcast before. I mean, great guy, but yeah, it was a ton of fun. And you brought the Lion's Head and I brought the garage beer, the lime garage beer, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Which I didn't know much about except for that Kelsey's involved with it. So
Jason, not Travis, just so the people out there wondering now.
The good one.
Yeah. But what do you call it? I actually have the rest of those in my house because Joe and his wife were just like, we're never going to touch these. So you might as well just take them with you. And since I was the last one to leave, I got to take it all with me. So,
I want to point out a few things that did occur there, Jim. One, I won the gaming tournament for Virtua Fighter.
Out of nowhere, Brian's a goddamn savant at the original Virtual Fighter. He beat all of us. Joe owns the machine, and he got his ass whooped. And Joe was the least drunk.
And literally, it was like they all put it on me because I was the first one to leave because I had my nice 2-hour drive. But I was like, I don't know. I was trying to pick a game that I would lose it, and I was like, I suck at fighting games. I was like, I saw you playing Virtual Fighter earlier. I was like, oh, that'll be one I could probably lose fast in, and then I think you were the first one I went against. Or no, Michelle was the first one, then Dan, then you, then Joe.
Yep.
And somehow, yeah, I won that. I set his high score on Punisher, and I akimboed the shit out of Area 51 and beat that game lonesome. So
Yeah.
I just want to point out some records, Jim. Oh, and you and I absolutely worked over Dan and Michelle. What did we beat them? 15-3 or some crazy on open ice?
On open ice. Oh my God, we destroyed them.
And we were both the Flyers. So it's not even like we picked a much better team.
And it's kind of hard to describe like all the machines that Joe has in his basement because like a lot of them are multi-cab setups or like
Yep.
SD card, like almost MAME-ish kind of things going through there. But I mean, yeah, he had like Smash TV, Daytona USA, Virtua Fighter, what do you call it? Simpsons could go through them. Punisher could go through them. Aliens vs. Predator could go through one of them. He had Blitz and NBA Hang Time. Like it was like a split cab kind of deal. Oh my God! Like
He had the Mortal Kombat cabinet.
yeah, he had Mortal Kombat with a bunch of those on there. Like it was just
He had that skins game, that very unique golfing game.
yeah. It's like imagine Golden Tee but not popular and with a weird control setup. Like now with the ball, it's like this stick you have to flick.
Yeah, it's like a spring-loaded stick that is fully always in the front position and you pull back, and that's how hard you hit.
Yeah.
Plus, he has like, the Terminator cabinet that he's working on. He has two other cabinets. Like, the dude has, and like I said, each one he painstakingly puts so much effort into. So it's to say it's impressive is an understatement. I'll just say that.
One of my favorite parts is when we're down there, we're busting his balls, and we're like, Joe, what the fuck? Why can't I play T2? And he's like, every time someone's down here, they always want to play the machine that's down right now. Every goddamn time. No one's ever happy.
So yeah, it was an absolutely great time. Yeah, I can't wait to do it again in the future. So once again, thank you, Joe. I really appreciated it.
Oh yeah, and
Jim.
Oh, Brian, real quick, I just want to say, like, it's one of those things where you realize it's like, when we go to these cons and shit, you try to talk to as many people as you can, or you see the big names. It's like, oh, it'd be cool to talk to them, and then you kind of realize it's like, oh, but we've made like all these other friends along the way. Like, you don't need to be like, it's cool to like be able to meet all these people that we have met. Like, who gives a fuck if the big names are like, stuck up and don't want to talk to anyone? We have way more fun this way.
Dude, I mean, the people we've met and the people we maintain relationships with and we've talked to, hung outside of things, like, that's been one of the best parts of us doing this. And we've talked about that before. And it's like, yeah, you meet some other people that, yeah, they're YouTube famous at the end of the day. But, man, the egos can really make you go, ugh. But, like, everyone we've already named, and if we talked about them enough on our site, we've been lucky enough to meet some really awesome people. So
I like how Joe's wife had to text him and she was like, wow, these guys are like all surprisingly normal.
Yeah, hey, exactly. So yeah, no, absolutely great time. But Jim, it did coincide with a time right now that I think you and I are hitting, that we were in a little bit of a rut, I would say, most of the beginning of this year when it came to gaming.
Oh, yeah.
We were both feeling kind of like, another challenge, another chore. Like I think we were both a little burnt out, and I think we both hit a wall. You've reignited your love with Slay the Spire, and we've talked about that. But have I hit a stride, and I am all back in with gaming because of Hollow Knight. Like, I am now 16 or 17 hours into that game, and like I can't, I'm not done it yet, but I can probably say it will be in my top 3 favorite Metroidvanias, if not my favorite. The game is just so goddamn fun, and it, like, the controls are so tight, but it's like kind of, once again, just in general reignited me. Like, I just started randomly playing Dead by Daylight again. I started I've mentioned before with my son doing Fortnite shit, and they just brought out all Marvel stuff. So going around using all of War Machine's like armor and his guns while having Captain America's shield, there's something very oddly satisfying about that in a game. But I actually did dip into Slay the Spire, as we talked about the live show.
Yes, we bullied you into it.
So here's the deal. I've been texting you about it. I only played as Iron. What's the first guy?
Ironclad.
Ironclad. I bullheaded my way into just like, I'll just keep playing until I win as him. But like, I was like, are you actually supposed to get rid of cards? Like, I would have decks of like fucking 20, 30 cards. I'm like, are you actually supposed to get rid of cards? You're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, okay, so that's something. And then I started realizing, like, oh, yeah, you basically just have to pick a very particular style of, like, especially with that character, like, are you going to be a turtle defense? Are you just going to be crazy demon form, high output damage? Like, all these little things. And I can see why the game is so addicting. I think the first day I did it, I had, like, 5 hours on it because it was just like, yeah, if I had time in between shit, I was just like, oh, I'll just beat the next enemy, whatever. I still have not won, but I did start playing like yesterday as whoever the second character is, the one with the poison. I was like, why does this feel so significantly easier as a second? Like, all of a sudden, like, I was like getting much further, much quicker. I felt like, and I was like, huh, this is interesting. And then the thing I pointed out when I was editing that I didn't pay attention that you said that you can cheese with the phone is if you're about to lose a thing, you can kind of back out and then come back in. Because that game, I'm sure there's some people that will argue with me that that's all skill, but there is such a bullshit amount of luck and just randomness to that. Like, whether it's which cards are actually dealt, which route, like, you know, when you get to the question marks, I told Jim, like, the first 10 games, it would be like, oh, every question mark was a fucking enemy. And then once in a while it was like, oh, it was a merchant again, right before a merchant again. I was like, oh, this is fucking useful. So, like, I would not get, and then I hit a run where I didn't get any enemies, and it was all, like, actual question mark events, I'll call them. So, the actual RNG complete randomness of it is a thing where it's like, yeah, there will absolutely be luck with that game, 1,000%. And you got to have such an appreciation for deck building and understand the intricacies of keeping your card count minimal while trying to maximize, synergies with your deck. And like, there were some builds I had that I didn't realize that whole cheese effect. I wish I could go back and do where I had like the perfect synergy of like demon form, all this damage, all this shit. And I went against like somebody who just like could absorb everything. I forget which one of it is. So I totally see why you're so obsessed, Jim. I have my issues with the game. I don't think it's perfect, but I see why it's so goddamn addicting. I'll give you that 1,000%. So I am just, like I said, fully into gaming right now.
Oh, yeah, and what do you call it? Like, just one more point on that, because we talked about it so much last week. But one of my more recent runs, I was rolling through it, and I got to the boss of the third level, and 3 hands. I just did not get, like, what my entire thing was built around. And, yeah, I was basically dead. And I was like, well, fuck. There's an hour and a half wasted. So, yeah, there is a lot of luck that goes into it. But, Bri, besides my 102 hours so far in the mobile version...
Jesus Christ, you were at 50 last week.
I have a problem, Brian. There's a problem.
Holy shit.
A lot of poops and a lot of dog walks. It's a problem.
And let's not act like you're not just sitting on your couch doing it, too.
Oh, yeah, of course I am.
But go on.
Yeah, so besides that, I'm starting to get into these Patreon reviews that I need to do. What do you call it? So I started in on Postal 2. I'm going to give it more of a shot before I give my opinions on it. I mean, obviously we have to do the full review. Right now it's not grabbing me. It's like, it's very of the time, and it just feels like a game of the time, which is worse than even like the humor aspect of it in my mind. But maybe it'll click. I'm hoping it'll click. It's one of those cult classics. I'm hoping. And I also started in on Berserk Boy, which is the other Patreon review we have to do, and it's not bad. It's actually pretty good so far. I have some.
Yeah, remind me again with Berserk Boy. We said that was kind of a.
It's kind of like a love letter to Mega Man X in some ways, but still being like different. I mean, I never got too far into the Mega Man series, so like I think it's probably closer to like X2 or X3 with the level of platforming and all kinds of stuff you have to do. And it's actually like almost one of those games where you're going to get powers later on that you can come back to the first levels to rescue more people, because there's like, rescuing in the games too. So it's kind of like one of those, not open-ended completely, but it gives you like that forced replayability if you want to be a completionist kind of deal.
Okay.
But yeah.
So almost elements of Metroidvanias. Like the backtracking, like get a power, come back, open up areas that you couldn't before.
Well, you're not opening up like areas in like an interconnected world though. It's all separate levels. So
Gotcha.
It's just like, different pathways that you can finally open up with a new power kind of deal.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a pretty solid game so far. I've got like I think you have to wind up getting like 6 of these orbs and shit like that you have to collect, and I got the first one, so that takes a couple levels to do. I think they're all like broken up into 3-level segments, so I'm dipping my toes in all these. I'm going to put some more time in the coming week.
Yeah, Postal 2, I mean, I told you before, and I even, when I did that like one video that I was going to do a whole series on, but then, time, where it was like, I bought 3 games, all, like, I basically had a plan that I was going to, every video, just only have $10, and whether I could find it out and about, or on Steam sales, or whatever, as many games as I could get that looked like something would interest me. Postal 2 was one of them. I beat it all the way through. I don't know if I also did the DLC. I can't remember. But, I mean, I'm not diving too deep into my opinions because I want to wait. But like I said, I think I'm curious with you because I feel like you're just so jaded by, like, the humor that would be, like you said, it was of the time. It was very South Park. And I feel like you're kind of, like, too jaded to that humor at this point to even laugh at it.
I still like South Park, but it's just like, it's not like I don't like South Park anymore. I don't know. Something about just...
It's not, and here's the deal. I'm not even trying to say this is anywhere near South. I'm saying
no. I mean,
South
it's just
Park,
like
humor.
Yeah, it's like forcibly crude with like Gary Coleman's a big meme in it, but like if you were around in 2003, you get why it's funny that Gary Coleman's so featured in this game. It's one of those things. So
it's at the end of the day, it's a shooter that's not. It doesn't particularly do it good. Doesn't particularly do it bad. The crudeness is the selling point, and the ridiculousness of, like, depending if you get to use all the different weapons. It's one of those, like, oh, this is like it's just ridiculous. It's never gonna get a gold star for its gameplay. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, probably not.
But no, I can't wait to see you fully go through and what your final take on it is. But like I said, there is something very fun. Like, it's so bad that I fucking had a dream about Hollow Knight, about opening up different parts of the levels. And now I watch a YouTube video on, like, the lore and story of it. Because, like, what's nice about Hollow Knight is you can dive deep and figure out story, or you can just kind of just, like, ignore it like you would and probably be like, oh, whatever, the gameplay's so tight, I don't need to worry about it. But, yeah, I am fully immersed back into it, and it is nice. And speaking of, I know I said this last week, but like I said, obviously we're pushing everything. My work has been balls crazy, getting shit gathered for the kids going back to school. I really, by next week, no matter what, my number one goal is getting out Toilets in Wonderland. So that review will be out. As soon as Jim's done Postal 2, that'll be up next. And then we'll both play, was it Berserk Boy?
Yeah.
So we'll both play that, and then we'll round out those Patreon requests. But speaking of, Chambers, what questions do we have this week?
Patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer in each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. So, first up from Burned Retinas, what is your favorite and least favorite fairground food?
Fairground food?
Like at a fair or like carnival.
Favorite? See, I'm a sucker for a good funnel cake, and that's honestly the only place I'll probably get it. But I used to love it as a kid, and as an adult, I take 2 bites, and then I'm like, okay, I had it. I'm good.
Overrated. Most overrated goddamn food in the world. My wife's
It's
always
over-
like, we have to get the funnel cake. We're going to this thing. Oh, they have funnel cake? We have to get the funnel cake. I'm like, what the fuck? It's nothing. It's literally nothing.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. As a kid, I loved the shit out of it, and I think the only appeal was I had it so infrequently that's like I would have it once a year, and I was like, ooh, that thing that's really sweet. Yeah, as an adult, I don't care for it as much, but yeah, like because like at fairgrounds, like you can always get hot dogs, you can get whatever. Like
Right. Why the fuck would I ever waste my time with funnel cake when there are deep fried Oreos to be had?
I just had my first deep fried Oreo this year when I was in Wildwood.
Really? The first time?
It's one of those things I saw and I was like, I don't need that. Like, I don't need, of all the terrible decisions I make when it comes to eating shit, I was like, I don't need to add that to the bucket list. But Juan's cousin actually bought a bunch of them. And I was like, all right, I got to try one. I get it. They're really good. But it's the same idea as funnel cake. Like, I would have one and be like, I'm good. I don't need I don't need a ton. Yeah, like when I'm there, like honestly, at this point, shocker, it's more like, does this particular fairground have beer? Outside of that, like unless it's a specific place that's known for a gimmick, like the walking taco bag or whatever it's called, where it's a Doritos bag with all the tacos.
Oh, I do love that. I do love those like little fucking.
Yeah, they're delicious. Least favorite. I'm gonna throw a generic answer out there and just the fucking prices, like pretzels. Like I don't want to pay $4 for a fucking stale, oversized pretzel. Like I'm always disappointed by pretzels at fairgrounds. At certain like Oktoberfest and other things, you get delicious pretzels. But at those fairgrounds, I feel like they're never that good, and you always overpay. And it's like, how do you fuck up a pretzel? But somehow they always do. And my kids love pretzels, and I'm always like, yeah, this is not that good. So maybe we're pretzel snobs because, you know, we're from Philly and we get the best kinds.
It's true.
But, yeah, that's my least favorite there. How about you?
I mean, yeah, I already bitched about funnel cake, and that is probably my least favorite just for, like it's always overpriced, and you never finish it. You always throw out, like, at least a quarter, if not half of it. Because everyone, like, will have some, and everyone's like, oh, I'm done with this. And I'm like, oh, well, there's, like, you know, $8 in the trash right now. Wonderful. But, what? You know what? Like, fairground nachos always kind of suck. Like, I've never had ones that I went, like, these are good. Like, they're almost sub-movie theater nachos. I would much rather have movie theater nachos than fairground nachos.
And I'm sorry, if there's anyone out there who thinks the fucking round nacho chips are appropriate, they're wrong. They're wrong. Round nacho chips are always the worst kind. And you know when you get round nacho chips, you're going to get that bullshit cheese that's like, you're fine with it, but you know it's not even close to a good cheese. You're just like, ugh. It's this shit. It's not even like Velveeta. Or it's nothing legit.
I mean, it's Whiz, basically. But it's not like... It's like faker Whiz.
Yeah, it's the shitty... It's like that kid you knew in school who's like... Mom would always be like, oh, we'll get the store-bought brand of this, not the actual Coke. And you're like you, Jim. Like,
I was just about to say, that's 100% me growing up. Shasta. I was a Shasta boy, Brian.
You know, I think the only store-bought brand thing that pisses me off more than anything is the store brand Doritos, the nacho cheese flavored tortilla, where I'm like, those are so fucking bad compared to regular Doritos. Spend the extra 20 cents and just get the Doritos, please.
What did I bring to too many games? Was it the Audi Clancy's brand tortilla chips?
You brought some bullshit.
You know what? I like them. I don't care that they're cheap. Those cheap ass Doritos. It tastes like the old style Doritos from like the 90s.
No, fuck that. I brought some legit gentleman treats with some deep dish pizza Lays, which were way too good, and now I want to get them all the time. And those fucking salsa flavored whatever.
They were good too.
Yeah, no store brand. Just get me Doritos. Just get it. Don't fuck with it. That's all.
Stop dicking around.
Yeah, you know what you're doing.
Next up from Todd Howard Sucks. Do y'all drink iced tea up there? And if not, your favorite non-alcoholic drink to have with a meal?
So I'm super boring. I literally all day, all I have is like I'll have one or two coffees in the morning, and then I'm water all day long. And then unless I'm doing this or if I'm gonna drink alcohol, like I I have three things that I particularly always need to have a soda with. First is pretzels. As we said, if I get legit soft pretzels, I need a Pepsi with or some kind of Pepsi like thing. Um, Chinese food, I usually like soda with, and pizza. Like those are three things where I like. That's the only times I drink soda. I won't just like casually have a soda otherwise. But yes, we definitely drink iced tea up here. I think because my wife and her grandmom are so obsessed with Chick-fil-A sweet tea, if we do a Chick-fil-A order, I end up getting a gallon of that sweet tea and we'll have it here. Or my wife makes sun tea or iced teas. Um, for my work, I had to travel to West Virginia and I went to a Chick-fil-A. I got the lemonade and the dude's like, yeah, man, your order sounds exactly what I want, but I want an iced tea instead. I'm like, okay, well, I'll still take my lemonade. So, yeah, we definitely drink iced tea up here. As a kid, I used to always get that crazy big pitcher with the pink lid and get the packets of iced tea mix and put way too much of it in there with water. I'm shocked I didn't end up with kidney stones as a kid. But, yeah, as a grown-up, not as much. Snapple I used to fuck with a lot, but I feel like I haven't had Snapple in I don't know how long.
Yeah, what do you call it? As a kid, I drank a lot of iced tea. My parents would always go to Sam's Club and buy like the big, like, fucking barrel of the 4C mix, and we would just always have homemade iced tea in the house. I guess that's maybe why I don't drink it a lot now, and also because my wife is like addicted to lemon Snapple, so it's just like every week I'm going to fucking ShopRite to get more goddamn Snapple bottles. I was like, just drink something else. God damn it. And she listens and she knows we have this conversation all the time. But I mean, yeah, me myself, I'm a fucking soda boy. Like during work, I'll have my coffee in the morning. I'll drink water all goddamn day, and I'll treat myself to a little sody pop when I get home for dinner. But you know what? I was in Atlanta recently and I tried the sweet tea, and I was just like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't think I'm just a tea guy anymore, like at all. Like I tried it.
South loves the tea, man.
They
love
fucking
the sweet tea.
love their sweet tea, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Here's the deal. It's like we said with like funnel cake and everything else. Like I think I'm just at that. We're just those old men that like at this point, sweets aren't my things. I go for savory. I go for other things. Like I can have it and enjoy it and be like, that's good. I don't need much of it. I'll take a few sips of sweet. Like when we get a gallon of sweet tea, I'll have half a glass total out of that, and that's probably being generous. Yeah, it doesn't get me excited. But
Right, you talk about this a lot. You're like, why would I ever have candy when there's all this delicious cock around? Who needs all this candy? Swedish fish, get out of here!
damn it, Jim!
Nom 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 nom.
By the way, Wawa iced teas are underrated, and I like their diet peach or their diet half and half.
Ooh, their
Those
peach is
shits
good.
Are so damn good. So I've kind of forgot about that. So I do tend to get those, especially if it's a drunk run, and I get my hoagie at night with that and some chips.
Yeah, so short answer is yes, we do dabble, but probably not the way you Southern boys south of Mason-Dixon would like us to. And that's why the North won.
Damn it, Jim. Fuck.
But yeah, that wraps up the Patreon questions this week. So once again, thank you to everyone out there for all the support. Really do appreciate it. Make sure to hit those links below, see all the different tiers and all the extra content that we put out there, ask questions all the time, game review requests, and all that good stuff. Once again, thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, guys. We truly, truly appreciate it. And make sure to get those questions in each and every week. All right, Chambers. So we got a bunch of topics this week, and the first up is someone we haven't heard from in quite a while, DK Oldies. And this comes to us from Nicholas Diorio, and he's just pointing out like what their friggin' newsletters or what they send out in emails to folks are. Long story short, it's this like multi-paragraph thing about the breakdancer in the Olympics. Everyone's clowning right now because how fucking ridiculous she was. And by the end, he's like, it's not okay to cyberbully someone. And at DK Oldies, we believe everyone deserves respect, whether it's in gaming or life. We're proud to stand up against negativity and bullying, and we'll continue to do so. And then he provides evidence of yet another one where basically it's multiple paragraphs. It's just basically talking about people who give other people shit of like toxic gamers, of if you're not a true gamer, if you don't know this or you don't know that. And at DK Oldies, we disagree. We feel everyone, blah, 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 blah. And then it's all like, click here to buy or click here to read more. This is just a fucking bored person they give money to send out this shit because what I will say is...
it's the owner. It's the social media guy.
There's no way that he's actually handwriting that.
It's the same guy who makes all their TikToks, because there's TikTok videos he put out there talking like... He put a couple out there, like, defending Ray Gun and shit like that at the Olympics. And, like, talking about bullying online and all this bullcrap. I guess he's projecting, like, all of his drama from last year, like, onto the internet and using Ray Gun as his, like, pillar to prop up or something like that. He sees, like, a kindred spirit. When, like... Why is this guy using the newsletter for his stupid, overpriced, retro gaming site to be his, like, blog? What the fuck?
So, okay, I don't know about you, Jim. Well, actually, I can already say I do know this.
Weird.
No, there's at my company, at many companies, you have these random subdivisions of folks that have a job. But they like to sprinkle in their humor, and they like to spice it up a little bit and go outside the box and get creative. And we see this with writers like this. And I will say there's some even friends of ours of retro gaming things that I'm a part of newsletters that sometimes they're labeled and they have a little write-up too that I'm like, it's not just about the game. It's kind of like a funny, like, it'll be addressed like, hey, Brian, did you know, da-da-da-da-da, and then it ties into a game. It's never to this extent, but I'm saying they all like to put their little personal touch on shit. This is fucking extreme. If this really is that owner, is it the guy, the blonde-haired, like, goofy-looking dude?
Yes.
Who looks like DJ Qualls, kind of?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, fuck that guy. Well, I mean, I already have my issues, obviously, with this shit DK Oldies was doing. This is just a different level that if you're on, number one, don't be on their fucking newsletter list or even subscribe to them that they can send you this. That's also number one. The first one I would have got this. Everything else after that would have went to my spam folder.
No, right. That would be in a perfect world. Have you actually tried to unsubscribe from a fucking internet newsletter or mailing list lately? It never goddamn works. The unsubscribe button is fucking useless anymore. You have to do it like 10 times and then manually say, oh, you're spam, before it like just goes away. It's bullshit.
So, I mean, this is one of those weird things, right? Like, I think at this point, everyone knows that the head guy. Do we even know what's the head guy's name at DK Oldies?
Joey. I just know it as Joey.
Okay, so I think anyone who does buy shit from them and is involved with them or follows them knows the guy's kind of a weirdo or whatever. So it's not shocking, but it's just, I hate to even use this word, but it's just cringe. That's when I read that, I'm like, ugh. Like you said, why are you trying to get this shit out there to just sell overpriced retro games? Why? Like his TikToks, I think I've even seen too. And I get it. Listen, it is what it is. They're awkward as shit too. At least that's content. At least it's not some goofy, like, just, this is my thinking on the situation, so I'm somehow going to put this in a newsletter. Like, I don't know. What can I say, Jim?
Be normal. Be normal. What the fuck?
You know what, Jim? I want you to justify it. That's what I want you to do.
Well, Bri, as the proprietor, it might make sense for a business to keep up with current events And maybe it is the way. Maybe we could all live in a nicer, happier world, Brian. Maybe we're all just too jaded. And maybe Joey's out there trying to be the voice of reason in an otherwise topsy-turvy world, Brian.
I was gonna say, could let's put on our very naive hats. Could he just be someone who genuinely wants people to get along and be nice to each other, and we are just Philly pricks who are just used to being mean to people? Could that be it too?
No, fuck this guy. Fucking putting in your $5 goddamn power brick on my NES, will you? I don't give a shit what you think about fucking current events.
By the way, my favorite thing about DK Oldies is if you go to Google, you type it in, the first thing that you see is their store. The second is a Reddit thread that says, "Is DK Oldies actually a scam?" Like, that's literally... And then people also ask, is it legit? So, yeah.
You know, Google's kind of a shell of what it used to be as a search engine, but every once in a while, the algorithm still kind of works.
It does. It lets people know.
It's no DuckDuckGo, but I mean, every once in a while, you get what you need.
So, Nicholas, I hope for your sake you unsubscribe to them or are able to figure out how to spam or block them. Although it is funny as shit to see the stupid ass headlines you're gonna see. Anyone that's willing to defend the fucking goofy ass breakdancing shit.
Oh, who fucking cares? Oh no, breakdancing's not in the Olympics anymore. Who cares? Stop.
We knew. Let's be honest.
She's
we knew it was
too
a complete sham.
powerful. She's too powerful, Brian. She literally killed it in its first year. All for saying, "Yeah, I'll do it," because we have no one else. What a queen.
Or she just wouldn't let anyone else do it with her, and she chose herself.
No, Australia literally had no one to do it. So she was like, all right, I guess I'll do it.
Oh, see, I read that she actually was part of the group that would, review people, and she just didn't allow other folks. Once.
Oh, really?
She's like, I'll have to do it. Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
Either way, we know it was just a fucking... I can't, it was one of those things, you're like, how? Just like when you saw the handball tournament. I'll be honest, I haven't played handball since I was a kid, but I see that in the Olympics, and I'm like, I honestly feel like I could compete in that. There's plenty of Olympic sports where I was like, there wouldn't be a chance in fucking hell, even if I trained all my life, I could have ever done that. And then there's other ones like that in this fucking breakdancing where you're like, really? That's the highest tier of, quote unquote athlete for this sport? Fuck out of here.
See, Bri, I appreciate the sports. I appreciate, women's volleyball and women's diving and women's pole vaulting. Women's surfing, even.
That's how young Jimmy discovered short Jimmy.
No, Brian, that was the underwear ads in the Kmart Sunday paper articles that I would hide behind my dresser. Man, was that awkward the one time we moved around my bedroom. What are all these? Oops.
Oh, well, it helps with the bed frame. It could have been as bad as how I explained how I broke my bed. My textbooks are really heavy from school.
That's like the one time I was stupid hungover off Steel Reserve, and I was like, oh, I had some bad Wendy's yesterday, I think.
Yeah. I mean...
I used that line on a cop before, too, and it worked. He was like, oh, yeah, that'll get you.
I'm not going to say it was one of my proudest excuses. For all my shit, lying is something I'm absolutely awful at. I am not good at lying, so that's why I don't do it, because I know I can't come up with good enough shit to lie. So yeah, when I came up with the textbook thing, it was not a good lie. I know that, but nobody wanted to accept the truth and the answer, so we all bought it.
Your dad just went,
He's
okay.
Like, fuck, come up with something better, but sure, okay.
Yeah. And we never talked about it again.
But Chambers, let's keep this anger rolling with... Oh, man. We've talked about these fucking clickbait, bullshitty articles about video games. And this one...
Right. The gamers...
might take the cake because of how non-connected it is to the article in any sense of the word. But
Right,
why
don't,
don't
right.
you let people know?
Don't blow your load already, Brian. So, from good old PC Gamer. Right, you can watch a latex-clad billionaire punch out poor people in the debut gameplay trailer for Batman Arkham Shadow. What a middle-of-the-road, calm and informative headline for a review, Brian. I don't see anything wrong with this.
So this article was written by Andy Kalk, and I had to go. Whenever we do these things, I'm like, let me look up his bio, and just from the write-up of his bio, I'm like, oh, already hate him. Then I'm like, let me go to his Twitter, and I'm like, this all tracks and makes sense. Like, this is the type of person who probably, and I know editors can be the ones to make the titles, but it really would not shock me if he's the one who suggested this title, because I looked at some of his other articles, which included things like the upcoming survival action game looks like Stalker crossed with an episode of your mom's favorite British murder mystery show. So he always has to have like a clever little, like, trying to be whatever. But the article itself, as I said, you read it, and it just basically talks about this VR Batman game, Arkham Shadow, which I'm very curious. I mean, the game kind of looks pretty cool. Like you and I have talked about. I don't know if VR games, like, how well they actually respond or whatever. We know the Arkham games are infamously great. It's not. He doesn't even he doesn't bash the game or that idea of you being a billionaire at all. Like, it's not mentioned at all. And I'm like, why did you choose that goofy ass? Like, are you just trying to be that clever one, and that you're trying to purposely be the rage click meme? Like, that has to be it, right? That's the only reason.
Oh, well, yeah, but, like, there's also a line in the quote-unquote, like, trailer review, whatever the fuck this article is, where it's like, the new trailer focuses on exploration, dialogue, and, of course, plenty of fisticuffs, as the world's greatest detective whomps the living hell out of dozens of flunkies and underlings on his way to ensuring that nothing ever really gets better in this bleak, crumbling metropolis of Gotham City. Fucking Reddit. This is a Reddit fucking article right here. Typical Reddit talking points about goddamn Batman. It's just depressing the poor. His violence is never really making anything better. Shut the fuck up. Jesus.
Jim, hold on for 1 second. All of a sudden, I couldn't hear you. But I still... That's why I didn't interrupt when you were talking, so give me 1 second. Let me see how the fuck to fix this. Because in the middle, you just... I lost...
Yeah, you cut out for me for a second.
With you.
Yeah.
I'm recording show on my end. Give me 1 second.
All right. I honestly think it's my computer, because I think it's when I open the site for it. I think my computer's just fucking geeking everything out now on my end.
Why the fuck? Say something.
What the fuck?
Yo. Okay, I hear you. Say something again.
Hello.
All right, I'm still recording. Like I said, as long as I still have your audio, I saw you were talking. That's why I didn't interrupt. So, what was the final point you made with that?
Basically, the line where he's, I basically said he was very much Reddit, where it's the typical Reddit talking points of like, oh, it's just about oppressing the poor and fucking, typical cop shit where, he never makes anything better and blah, blah, blah.
All right. Then we'll go off that. We're not even going to address it. As long as we're both recording, we're good.
Yep.
All right. coming back in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, here's the thing. Of all the trends, of all the things that I'm like, you know how like the late 90s, the 2000s were about things being like overtly like badass and whatever and that annoying thing. This trend that's still existing of like the I'm going to try to be edgy by being like the anti thing and saying whatever and just going against the grain like as hard as I can. I can't wait for that shit to just wear out. Like there's always going to be assholes that do it, but for people to stop thinking that's even cool or funny or whatever, I can't wait for that humor to go away. Like fucking knock knock jokes. Like get over this shit. It's annoying. I don't like it.
Yeah. So, I mean, why are we even pretending anymore with PC Gamer that like they're trying to be like a real journalist about this? Like it's the most blatant rage bait I've seen in a long time. Like fuck.
You know what, Jim? Here's what I want. I want anyone listening to us, you let us know who actually even is a legit gaming journalist at this point anymore. Like
I've said a lot. I still say Jason Schreier, even though he's kind of a whiny ball bag who's self-important. The guy does good work. Outside of him, I couldn't tell you.
And I know I've heard that name, and I know we've covered him before, but yeah, I'd have to really think about that.
Yeah, I mean, right, should we start sucking up to Alyssa Mercanti before she starts suing all the Gamergators?
I don't know who that is. So, no, because like most gaming journalists, she's probably a fraud.
Waka waka. Hey, don't sue us. I have no opinion on the matter. Ha ha!
You fence-sitting son of a bitch.
Yeah, she's kind of weird, but the people who talk about her all the time are also weird. So, yeah, I get to sit out of this one.
And I don't know who she is, so I'm doing it solely based on the fact that you said she's a gaming journalist.
There you go. Waka waka.
Jim, let's cover bigger.
Or should I say,
topics.
hacka hacka?
Damn it. Let's cover a guy who has now set a world record. You've notoriously have a pretty goddamn crazy, legit multi-system setup. How many systems are set up to your TV right now?
Probably about like 10 to 15, something in between there.
So what I'm hearing is you need to step up your game and add about 420 or 30 consoles to get on the same level as... Where the fuck is his name in here? Oh,
say the name, Brian. Make it work.
I'm trying to find it. Ibrahim Al Nasir from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, maybe Riyadh, however you say that.
Yeah. He's got 444 consoles connected to one TV. All right, right off the bat, you just hear that. That's insane. There's a video attached. I'll probably have the video going as we're talking. There won't be audio.
Yeah, it's only like a 3-minute video.
But here's the thing. Are you a little underwhelmed by the size of that TV? Obviously, the dude's got fucking money out the ass. Number one, just to have that kind of collection. And you see the kind of screens and shit. And he talks about, like, it's all about cable management, the switchboards, all the shit. But that TV is, like, at best a what? 40-inch?
No, that's bigger than 40. That's probably like a 60.
You really think that's 60? Because I'm looking at the picture of him standing in front of it, and maybe my scale is really off, but I'm standing next to I think I have a 55-inch in my room, and I feel like, you know what, maybe you're right. Maybe it's 55.
No, because I have a 42 in my game room, and I have, like, for reference, I have a GameCube, my CDI, TurboGrafx, and my Genesis. And that's wider than my 42-inch.
But still, when I look at the video and you see his...
I love how you can nitpick something on a fucking thing where a guy has 400 systems hooked up to one TV.
Because here's the deal. The guy clearly has an ass ton of money. And aren't you...
He's from Saudi Arabia. He takes baths in oil.
But here's my point to that. Like, if you had a chance, like... And he's got custom shit. He's got all these, like, crazy things of, like, controllers just on stands. Like, the dude obviously put money into this. When you look at that setup and like how many consoles go out, like I'm also looking at that. I'm like, how the fuck does he even reach some of those consoles? Put games in? Now, granted, this is assuming he's actually playing any of these on a regular basis. And I'm gonna give it a little spoiler if you haven't watched the video. You know he's fucked up when he says his favorite console is a Sega Genesis.
King among men.
But yeah, like, so part of this list of games that he has hooked up to it also include a ton of like plug and plays and shit.
Yeah, there is a caveat to this. Like, he's got like 3 Genesises hooked up with like Sega CDs and like 32Xs. I guess he just wanted to see if he could hook up every single thing he owns at once, which cool, but it's not like it's like, 400 unique consoles.
Well, that got me to thinking.
I do like that he uses the same like 8-way Amazon composite switchers that I do. It's nice to see.
Of course.
Good
yeah,
man.
I mean, so it's funny. The first thing I did when I was like 440, I was like, that seems like too many. And then I was just typed in Google how many consoles exist. And apparently there's about 1,000 home video game consoles. I'm trying to figure out how that's like an actual number. But I think when you have the plug and plays and all those little miscellaneous, or if they include variants of the same one, okay, but still, that seems like really high to me. And maybe I'm just very naive.
And now that has to include like those Russian and Brazilian Famiclones and shit like that. So it's got to be a ton of clone consoles or those like Garbo ones you can buy at Walgreens that are like, they almost look like Comic Game Sphere from South Park, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the word console is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, even though it technically is probably right. But, like, I've got some shitty knockoff little handhelds that I guess I could consider one if I hooked it up like this.
And here's the deal. Like, the absolute nerd of me who loves keeping track of shit in spreadsheets, the dude shows, he's like, yeah, I got this, like, spreadsheet that basically says, like, which system is connected to which switch, to which whatever. Like,
dude, I do that for my fucking setup, and I have 15 consoles.
So he clearly did it for the just to like get the record. But here's the deal. Let's say you ever won one of those crazy like multi-billion-dollar lotteries, and you just had enormous stupid fun money. I don't think I still would ever want to do something like I would still probably be limiting my shit to like 6 or 7 consoles, honestly, hooked up to a TV. Like, would I buy stupid consoles? Sure. But as far as something I'm actually going to ever sit down and play, I'm never hooking up more than 10. I don't know. Like, what would you get this stupid with it?
I mean, I'm already kind of there in a way smaller extent. Like, I like having everything hooked up at once just so it's like, well, if I want to pull something off the wall, I can just turn it on. So, yeah, I don't think I'd go as insane as this guy went with it. Because, like, he's never turning on those plug and plays. Or he's never turning on, Sega Master System number 4. Shit like that. So, obviously, he did it for the world record. And it's very cool how he has it set up. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's completely impractical, like you were saying. There's no way you're reaching shit in the back to turn crap on.
I mean, shit. Even with you said you have like 15. I would argue that 12 of those you probably haven't played in years.
Oh, I mean, like my original Xbox and like my Dreamcast, I almost never touch. My GameCube, I barely ever touch.
Even your Atari. When was the last time you've turned on your Atari?
That's not even hooked up right now.
Yeah. So
my ColecoVision's just in a box up here.
Yeah, I think the problem is even if I had stupid play money, I'm just too practical in the sense like if I really don't think I'm gonna play it, I'm not gonna just go through the trouble of having everything hooked up just for the sake of it. Like I guess I'm the type, I don't mind like when sometimes we had to break out and be like, we're gonna play an Xbox or PS2. I have them in a place. They're not necessarily hooked up. I'm like, whatever. At that point, I'll go. I'll run the cable. I'll take care of it. I don't know, but I as a gamer, yes, that is awesome as shit. Uh, Scarlet Sprites, you have a new mission.
Step your game up.
Beat this, but yeah, I don't know. The cable management is something I would actually really want to see in this whole setup. Like, I would love to see how, like, if it is actually run through like cable sleeves and all that, or yeah, I'm very fascinated. I don't know.
I mean, the only way you don't make it just an absolute nightmare of cables back there is just by it's like autism of the highest tier. Like, you're just fucking so hyper focused on getting it just right. There's no other way to do it.
Well, that's why I'll quote unquote say I'm criticizing his setup. Like, dude, if you have, let's assume he has crazy money, and when you have 444 consoles, I'm assuming that. I would almost build a custom room just for my games where, like, you see those crazy, like, IKEA style, like grid style slots. Like, I would just have a wall of those, not 444, but I would have them, like, set up, and then everything drilled out of a back wall, and the, like, infrastructure and chase of all the wires in a separate room where I'm just like, consoles are on the wall, I go over, I hit click, the TV is up front, nothing's in front of it. Like, I don't know. I would just do it very differently. Like, if you're going to go out, balls out, and spend that money, I'm not just going to make it fit in an existing room, is my point.
You basically have it set up almost like a vending machine at a fast food place where it's like the bags of syrup on the other side of the wall through hoses, and that's how you're feeding it through.
Yes. 100%. That's exactly how I would do it. Yeah.
Would be nice. Would be nice to have that kind of room to do that.
It'd be nice to have that kind of money to do it. And if you have that kind of money, you can make the room.
When you're right, you're right.
But no, good job to you hitting that goal. That is something we will never be able to do.
Yeah, to say the least. So, yeah, Ibrahim, Bob from Texas, I salute you.
Damn it, Jim, say his name. I did.
Yeah, Ibrahim Al-Nasir. There you go.
There you go. All right. So, Chambers, speaking of something we've covered for a while,
right, it is time for some follow-ups.
PSVR 2. Is it continuing having any problems, or is it smooth sailing right now?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Nothing to talk about. It's all good. It's fine. Especially the dongle they made their desperation play to keep them actually buying it and useful. So yeah, we talked about it a couple episodes ago. They made a dongle so you could connect your PSVR 2 to your PC. And apparently it's a hunk of shit because it don't goddamn work good. This comes to us from The Verge, and the article basically goes through the authors, written by Sean Hollister, and all of his multitude of problems trying to get anything to fucking work. Like, hooking it up was a pain in the balls. Using it, like, you just be playing and your hand would be all the way up in the sky or 3 feet below your gun that you're holding, or shit wouldn't be registering. All the troubleshooting that he went through for it. And he actually came up with a pretty good explanation with it. And basically it comes down to the fact that this dongle and all the hookups to your PC is done through a single USB-C cord. And from what he was talking about, there was a plan a while ago to kind of make... It's called Virtual Link, and what it basically was once upon a time, graphics card manufacturers were planning to standardize on the USB-C port with the same combo, called Virtual Link, and the brand didn't take off, but some GPUs did make it out into the wild, and they do it with a do-it-all USB-C port. So it's the kind of thing that can do the streaming, the audio, the video, the graphics, and the inputs, and all that through a single USB-C, which is cool, but like he says, it never took off. So some people don't have problems with the PSVR 2 connector dongle, and they might just be the dumb luck ones who have this Virtual Link thing built into their PC setup, where everyone else, and there's tons of articles and fucking Reddit threads about it, are just having a bitch of a time getting this thing to work. So yeah, obviously you can read the article and it goes into way more detail about everything that he's doing, and he's comparing it to the MetaQuest 3. And he does like say it's like the PSVR 2 is a nicer looking, like everything looks better on this than it does the Meta, but the Meta just works.
Which at the end of the day, didn't they say Betamaxes look better than VHS?
Hey,
Like,
HD DVD was better, but Blu-ray had porn.
I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, you gotta have your shit working, right? Like, you can make arguments left and right. Mine, assholes who still argue about Androids over iPhones. It's like, grow up, get an iPhone.
No one gets laid with green text. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, what can PlayStation even do? Like, I know we've covered the fact they had terrible sales. They're talking about price decrease. They weren't making them anymore. They were trying all these things. Like, do you just completely give up if you're PlayStation? You're like, fuck it, it is what it is? Or do you still dump resources in trying to salvage it? Like, I don't even know what the right thing for them to do is.
I mean, we even talked about it, and there were articles speculating before its launch that they're only doing it just for the sake of being a loss leader to stay in the market. But, like, is the VR market even now enough where you're like, oh, this is worth going through all this headache for? It can't be.
It's like, yeah, if you're not there yet with the connectivity with PCs and all the other shit, and you don't have the game library and all this other, like, I don't doubt eventually, we've talked about it, VR is going to be a thing, and I know you want to be ahead of the curve, but clearly your shit's not working, and yeah, call a loss a loss. I don't even know. Like, I don't doubt they could fix it in the next iteration, whatever a PSVR 3 would be. But right now, this one is their Wii U. It's the fuck up.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Just move on from it. Leave it alone. And yeah, I don't know. I still would love for it to be at a price point because I just looked it up. It's still way too high. If it drops down to about $100, I'm gonna get I'm gonna get it, and then I'll get the games.
All three of them.
I bet they'll be fun as shit. How about that?
Hey, there you go. Old glass half full Brian at it again over here.
Mr. Optimism. Come on, Jem.
That's what they fucking call me, all right.
Damn it. All right, Chambers, like you said, so we are doing follow-ups, and the next is they've already reached a settlement in the SAG-AFTRA voice actor strike. So what happened? What was the final breaking point?
So this is it is kind of bizarre. So the union says the agreement sets a new standard for ethical use and makes it easy for performers to give consent and get paid. They struck a deal with AI startup Narrative for audio voice replicas in digital advertising that the union asserts set a new standard for ethical use of technology and also makes it easy for performers to give consent and get paid. So there's a lot of blah-de-blah-de-blah in this article. So the TLDR. You love a good TLDR. Basically, there's about 160,000 members in SAG-AFTRA, and they can work with Narrative to basically give permission to use their likeness for like different AI implementations, like advertisements and maybe like small little bit parts and things here and there, with the caveat that they always have to give their consent towards it. They can opt out of certain types of content, obviously, and anything that their voice gets used for will go towards their pensions and their time served in SAG-AFTRA and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're in that. That's what I was reading. That was weird about this, right? Like, so they hit this thing with Narrative, which is interesting because you've now secluded yourself to basically a monopoly of like, instead of competing it, you're kind of going to this one company. But either way, like you said, they're giving the opportunity that if you want to join it, join it. It's like it's like when a movie comes and says, "Hey, we want to use a song." You're basically licensing.
Why did you say it that way? You just said when you use a song.
I don't know. But I don't know. There's something very weird about this, right? Like, in theory, if they have enough samples of your voice, how do I put this? Like, will it always be cheaper for a company to just say, I'll just take the sample of your voice and let AI generate the rest? Or will there still be preference for you to actually perform it live?
Well, I mean, there's a caveat in there that these guys have to have their like pensions toward it and basically get paid the going minimum SAG-aftra rates for those who opt in. So maybe there could be a thing where someone's established, but they're either older or lazier, or they just want a quick paycheck, and they're like, I just use my fucking AI version. And I guess the companies will save there on, I'm sure a lot of these celebrities have riders where it's like you have to probably like pay for a portion of their travel or put them up in a hotel or shit like that. You're saving on that end of it, maybe. But then again, a lot of people probably have professional setups at home too that they can do. I don't know. It's weird.
But also the SAG-AFTRA, like, it's 160,000 members. There's probably 50 celebrity style ones, right? Like, everyone else is probably just a very low level, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I just kind of feel like it's weird they settled this quickly and they just accepted the fact. They're like, we will be using AI ethically. I like that. I always love that term. A new standard. Actually, it's just a new standard for ethical use. But to your point, like, okay, so it is good. I guess you could get paid for it. But like I said, now companies will, like, the next Call of Duty be like, well, instead of actually hiring this actor, we'll pay this narrative or whoever. We want so-and-so's voice, and we'll pay a third of the price, whatever, a tenth of the price, and just have it AI generate it with his likeness, and it'll go to his pension. Like, those are terms I'm kind of interested in. Like, do these people still get fucked out of this, or is this truly a good company?
So what do you call it? They interviewed this guy named Alex Persky Stern, who's the CEO of Waymark, which is a firm that works with local TV stations for inexpensive ads that use AI tech, and he's calling it a watershed moment. So he's going, what's got me really excited is how it puts humans at the helm. It gives actors full control over their digital voice replicas. They choose their rates, they specify ad preferences, and they have to give the thumbs up for every single use. It's consent and transparency in action. It's completely opt-in. No one is forced to participate. And it's exactly how AI should be used, as a tool that saves time and expands possibilities, not as a replacement for human artistry and talent. And they apparently had a Q&A session on August 14th, which we are recording on the 22nd, so missed a boat on that.
It could be. I mean, like I said, it could be that watershed moment, like he's saying.
Right. Can I put my Alex Jones hat on real quick?
Go on.
There's no way this doesn't get abused. There's absolutely no way.
That's where my whole point was going for all this, is like, yeah, the highest level top 10, top 20 voice actors, whatever, they can probably be a little more stingy or set their price. The regular low level guy, they'll be like, yeah, we'll pay you the $10 an hour. And if you don't like it, we'll just go on to the next. Like, it's going to be one of those things. You either go with us or you don't go with us. And if you don't go with us, you're fucked, because everyone's going to use us.
Yeah, because everyone else is going to get paid to do the littlest work possible. So you either take the league minimum, or you get nothing. And even then, like, what's to stop other advertisers from just doing it and being like, oops, we forgot to send the email to narrative, our bad. Like, so many people are going to fucking ask for forgiveness and not permission. That's just how it works.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you're gonna bend those quote unquote new standard for ethical use left and right. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm more shocked about, is that they just folded and were like, they're going to go AI anyway, and now here we're dedicating it. Like, I have the bigger problem, once again, they're going to just one company. Like, with where I work, you always need competition, because if you leave it with one company, what's going to stop them from basically cornering the market on, like, rates and everything for these folks? I don't know. It'll be interesting, but that was one of the goddamn quicker resolutions I would ever have expected from one of these strikes or one of these situations. So.
Yeah, I mean, that ended shockingly fast. I guess all the actors just kind of saw easy money and went, okay, this works. Because, I mean, in theory, it's very easy money. But, Bri, in reality, is anything ever free? Is anything ever really that easy?
I mean, what did Craig Robinson say in Zack and Miri Make It Porno?
Her name Bubbles?
Ain't no such thing as free titties.
Well, God, what a wordsmith. God, that really does fucking hit hard.
I mean, is he wrong? Is the question.
Not at all. Not one single solitary bit is he wrong in that.
So yeah, I guess good for actors who now don't have to be on strike, but you're probably treading crazy water, and I feel for you if you're feeling a little leery of what's coming next.
Yep. So good luck to you, you rich pricks. Yay.
But Chambers, let's report on something. Oh fuck! I don't even want to use the word report. Let's talk about something.
Right, we're journalists. We're journalists now. We run a podcast about the news. We're journalists.
Listen, we may be frauds, but not for the reason of being calling ourselves journalists.
Right, we have to go down the long winding road to become locals.
So Chambers, a game that you and I have both appreciated for different reasons. And as reported on GameFixShow.com from our buddy Mike, who was on our live show last week. So
good old Burn Retina's Colonel Fancy Reviews, Mike Lind of the Game Fix Show. Go check him out.
So he's reporting that the good old game Eternal Champions is going to receive a film adaptation, and that Derek Connolly is attached to a project. Now, Derek was the writer for Jurassic World, Detective Pikachu, and unfortunately, I saw some of the newer Star Wars movies. So you can say what you want about his credentials, but of all the what the fuck out of nowhere, like, how are we even talking about an Eternal Champions film adaptation when we can't get a fucking remake, or they haven't made a film adaptation of Earthworm Jim? Like, what are we talking about?
Well, Earthworm Jim's in its own kind of, like, licensing hell because, what do you call it? Doug TenNapel, who was, like, the creator of it, he owns some of the licensing, and he sold off others to the other creators of the game. So he can basically make comics using the likeness, but he can't make video games or other things. Whereas he was the voice of Jim, too. Whereas the other people in the...
Hey, Jim.
What?
My whole comment about Earthworm Jim was more of a rhetorical question.
Sorry, I tried to use some goddamn knowledge about a subject for once. All my wasted time on the internet for once being used for good, and you shit all over it. Fuck me in the goat ass.
It was more of like, hey, that was a much more popular IP around the same time as this game, and it's crazy this one's getting it. I appreciate how deep you were.
No, apparently you don't. Fine, Brian. No, go fuck yourself. Who cares? No one cares.
No, you know what? Here's a
no. Actually, Brian, real quick.
Jim.
Seriously though, when you said we appreciate it for different reasons, where did that come from? What did you mean?
Because I actually just love the character designs and just the idea of a competing thing. Because you were the Sega nerd who just would love anything that's odd and out there, of course you were going to navigate towards this game. I think the game wasn't that good, and even though those goofy-ass stage fatalities, which were so hard to pull off, were whatever, the game doesn't get enough merit, or the game shouldn't get merit for its gameplay, but I like the idea of like coming up with original characters versus what you would see in every other Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat clone, where it's just like guy from Russia, guy from America, guy from where, like these were like more interesting characters. But the thing I did want to ask you, Jim, when it comes to knowledge, is what is the fucking story with Eternal Champions? Like, what is, like, I don't know what the game is actually about.
So basically, there's like this head guy called the Eternal Champion who like gets all these different fighters from different time zones to compete to be the best fighter throughout all of time and something. It's been a while. Like, the idea, I'm actually on your side, Brian. I kind of hate the game. I grew up with it. I played the shit out of it. But you know what happens, Brian? You get to like the fourth fight, and the AI difficulty spike goes out of this fucking world, and it's fucking possible. I've never beaten the game. I just get infinitely frustrated with it. I kind of hate it. But I do love, like you, I love the idea of it. So, yeah, I mean, like, having a movie where you have all these different fighters being plucked from time, like, you know, the future cyborg and the caveman, the 1920s gangster, and all the super sexy ladies and shit like that. Like, it's cool. I'm down for that. Give me that movie. But to your point, like, this is a follow-up in the sense that, like, this is another one of those things where it's Sega trying to expand their IPs out more and bring back old IPs. But what the fuck? A fucking movie? For a franchise that was never popular in the first place?
Yeah, like, how do you skip the opportunity to just make a, like, Killer Instinct remade, and that was the third most popular fighting game series, I would say, back in the day, after Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. How do you not take the opportunity, like how they remade their game, to just remake this game, add some characters, update the graphics, update everything? You jump to a movie, which is like where we just fucking talked about Borderlands, a known money-making great video game franchise that basically threw all the money they could at the biggest, well, some of the bigger movie stars, and it still is receiving the worst critical response possible. You think you're going to do anything with fucking Eternal Champions? Are you insane?
Well, right. Let's put our glass half full hats on here. So, like, the Uncharted movie, that was surprisingly successful, but there were a lot of people who didn't and we talked about it last week too, who didn't realize it was based off a video game. They just thought it was just like, it's kind of like an Indiana Jones movie. Cool. Like, maybe people will go to this and be like, oh, that kind of looks like Mortal Kombat. That might be cool. Having no idea it was like a niche video game franchise from the mid-90s.
You could, but, like, you'd have to get in this weird mix of, like, you just hope it becomes a cult classic, and it's one of those where it's like it gets released directly to Netflix or Amazon. The only reason why I can only imagine this is going to get a bigger treatment is the guy writing it writes for fucking Detective Pikachu, Jurassic World, Star Wars movies. Like, he doesn't do small time shit. So that's why my mind kind of went to, like, they'll overproduce it, whereas, like, you could even argue Mortal Kombat, the first movie, we love it, and it's appreciated by true gamers. Critically, it's obviously panned. Everyone knew it back in the day. I still think it had a bigger cult thing than what it was when it was actually released. And you could maybe hit that same rhythm here, but in today's landscape, it just shouldn't be something that gets a big theater release. I don't know. Like, and I'm also of the opinion, like, we talked about Twisted Metal. I feel like the couple people I knew that actually saw it said it was pretty decent. I haven't seen it, but I don't hear almost anyone generally talking about it. And that was a much bigger franchise than this.
Yeah.
And the show route, like, maybe that's a better way for a game about champions from across time. I don't know. Like, that's why I asked you about the story. I don't know if the story can translate in 1 hour and a half to 2 hours.
I mean, it would definitely give you more time to establish the characters, and if you made a series out of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's a thing you're gonna have to rush through it. It's got to be a spectacle movie. It can't be where you dig too much into each character and their motivations and blah 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 blah. Fucking, just to your point, remake the first Mortal Kombat movie and do it in the Eternal Champions universe with all their stories. Because they did it perfectly. Yeah. Every character had, like, 7 minutes in the very beginning where you kind of got their backstory and you got out of the way real quick, and then it was just like, all right, tournament time.
Yeah, you didn't have to dive into how Johnny Cage's childhood was and all this shit. Like, you're like, oh, cool. He's the guy that does this. Oh, okay. He did his move. With Eternal Champions, you just have to go in there assuming, like, the fan service is probably going to be pretty minimal. You might have to throw in some random, like, fatalities.
Fan service for 3 people.
Yeah. By the way, the asshole on the cover, I don't actually know his name, but the guy with the green jumpsuit with the target on his chest and the fucking laser coming out of his like made up Pip-Boy. The worst fucking character. Like, why is there a laser coming out of your Pip-Boy? Like, what are you gonna do with that? And then there's like
he's from the future,
half lion. Yeah, but like, you're basically you made Cyclops, but you're not having laser coming out of his eye. It's out of his fucking wrist. And he's got a target on his chest. Like, easier to shoot. Just asshole. And then in front of him, you got the fucking dude from He-Man, the, like, half-lion dude, feral caveman shit.
What do you mean half-lion? It's just a fucking caveman.
He's got a fucking mane and huge-ass fangs. That's not
Cavemen
just a
didn't have
normal
scissors, Brian.
caveman.
Their hair probably just grew.
Jim, they also could grow beards.
So did he.
He
He's got a beard.
basically
He's a
doesn't
beard.
have a mustache. He just has a lion's mane. He has claws, and his canines are way too fucking big. They're like a goddamn. What was his name? Let me look this up. Slash. He was a caveman. So
he's
wait,
not
let's
on
talk
tree
about
bark.
this.
He's not gonna have nice teeth, Brian. Come on, be real.
Who was your go-to character?
I was either the wizard guy or
Xavier Penn.
I was either Xavier or the I can't remember his name now. The gangster guy. Larson, yeah.
Tyler. So that's what I'm saying. That's what's interesting. I love how Mitchell Middleton Knight was like based in like the 1967, but he looks like a weird futuristic Jeet Kune Do practice. Like, I'm looking at all these guys, and I see what you mean about the eternal champion himself. Yeah, I don't know. Can they make this without it being a fucking CGI mess too?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I love the concept of the unique characters of this. Seeing them on screen, sure, I'm all for it. But like, this just begs a question, and that's why I mentioned Earthworm Jim in joking, but like, I know Konami sucks with licensing. The fact that we were able to get a cartoon, like anime style show out of them, I'm happy enough. And they're mixing with DVD, so they're releasing that license. Can't we get a Castlevania live action movie? Like, legitimately? There was a fucking Van Helsing movie, which was basically like Castlevania, except with more guns and Hugh Jackman. Like, come on.
Or Jack Hugeman. All right, so Brian, basically the story of Eternal Champions, taken totally not just right from Wikipedia, is so the Eternal Champion predicts that mankind will soon fade from existence due to untimely and unjust deaths of key individuals through history. So to restore balance, he gathers these souls from time moments before their deaths, and he only has enough power to restore life to one of them. So he makes a fighting tournament where the victor will get their life back and change their fate, while the rest will die and just as history recorded.
Okay. By the way, there is some bullshit going on with Slash, who's a caveman, where they claim he's just a caveman. But then the next guy they have from older history is Trident, a green gladiator from the year 110.
He's from Atlantis, Brian.
But I'm just saying, that's why I'm saying Slash is not just a regular-ass caveman. He's like half like animal, fully. Just if you can have a green fucking Atlantean...
Right.
Joe
Shitdick Caveman wouldn't be an Eternal Champion, Brian. It's got to be a special caveman, the best of the best. Fucking think here, Bri.
Oh, God. I love these names. You got Jetta Max, Larson Tyler, Mitchell Middleton, Shadow Yamamoto, Jonathan Blade, and Rex Coswell.
Beautiful. Love it.
As I said, I think it'll be a complete shit show, but I am all for it. I hope this gets made. I hope this isn't one of those things where we talk about it, they try to write something up, and it never gets picked up. As I said, I just hope they don't go for a full theater release. Make it an Amazon. Make it a Netflix. Make it a Hulu or whatever. Fucking Tubi. Put it on something and make the movie for it. That's like the equivalent to the straight-to-DVD at these days.
Right. If Hulk Hogan can't get his movie made, what chance does Eternal Champions have?
Yeah, what the fuck is the deal? Number one, I didn't know there was a whole Chris Hemsworth playing Hulk Hogan thing, but apparently it's already canceled. Like, did you even know that was a thing?
I remember hearing about it a couple years ago, and then apparently it was going through development hell the entire time.
So, all right. For any actor that could play him, I guess, like, size-wise, Chris Hemsworth makes sense. But does he really make sense to play Hogan?
I don't know, big blonde guy. Like, what?
But
Can he scream? Can he go,
like,
what you gonna do, brother?
Well, that's my... I mean,
Can he use the wrong type of Indian when he acts racist?
Damn it, Jim.
He said how? She's not the woo Indian. She's the other one. Jesus. What?
Jim, it was a different time.
It was yesterday.
Back.
It was yesterday when he said it.
Oh, I don't even know.
Oh no, there's a brand new video where he was like all drunk at like some rally. And like, you know, he's a Trump guy and he's like, "Oh, you want me to body slam Kamala Harris, brother?" And everyone's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Is she like even Indian?" And then he raises his hand and goes, "How?" And it's like, that's not the right Indian, you stupid fuck.
Oh, Jim.
Right. This is the life as the social media guy that I get to live, Brian.
I don't envy it. I you know what? I love my little just like peeks in there. I'm like, oh, shit's still crazy. Oh, shit's still crazy. Yeah. But no. So as we said, our buddy Mike Lind, check out his article. We do have it linked below. I don't know if Borderlands fucked up the landscape for video game movies. I hope it didn't fully fuck it up.
I mean, probably not. Or at the very worst, China will save it. Who the fuck knows?
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. Critic reviews mean nothing compared to sales. I don't know how... Well, actually, what did we say last week? What was it up to? Let's see.
Borderlands, wasn't it like a 3 on the tomato meter or something?
Well, we know it was critically terrible, but I want to see what it actually has made back in money. Because we know sales aren't always related.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, not at all. What's it, probably maybe at like 20 million now if they're lucky?
Whew. So its opening was 16 million worldwide against its 120 million.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. Yeah, it's not. Yikes. Let's see. Let's see what the latest numbers actually are for Borderlands. Currently it stands at 22 million.
Ouch. Ouch, B.
I don't think China's saving it.
I would say no.
It came out on August 6th. It's been 3 weeks approximately. So, yeah.
It's already going right to streaming, and there is much dishonor to be had.
Okay, so without you and me having seen it yet, what do you think? Like, and I haven't read any of their reviews. I know we said it was critically banned. What do you think the problem is with the movie? Is it strictly CGI mess? Terrible writing? Like, what is it that you think is actually causing it to get this kind of...
I just don't know how you have that cast for this movie and make it gel. It's one you just look at and just go, oh, this ain't going to work. And good old friend of the show, Blade Blur, he went and saw it, and he went, "Yeah, it lives up to its bad rap. It's pretty terrible." And he's the most glass half full, overly tries to be positive about things. And even he was like, "Yeah, nah, it's just bad."
But okay, so I know it's a terrible comparison, but think of like a movie like Red, which
Red
had
was cool.
Bruce Will. No, this is my point. I'm saying you look at that cast of like, it's like, once again, older folks in an action movie. Should have worked, maybe not. Budget was only 58 or 60 million. It made 200 million. So it more than cleared, right? Like, I enjoyed that movie too. That's my point. I'm saying the cast definitely on paper for Borderlands does not make sense. Like, Kevin Hart, Kate Blanchett, Jack Black, like fucking Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, what are we talking about here? But is that strictly just a thing of the writing is that bad? Because I know people have issues with Eli Roth, but I feel like in general, his movies don't, like, let's see, Thanksgiving, budget was 15, he made 47. So he more than made up that one. Obviously, Death Wish. Oh, actually, Death Wish? I did
No,
not see.
Death Wish.
The one with
Death
Bruce
Wish
Willis.
was fucking. Oh, the new Death Wish. That's right.
Yeah, so budget was 30, he made 50. Cabin Fever, the remake.
Remake? What?
So there was Cabin Fever from 2002,
Right.
the original, which made 30 million on a $1 million budget. So
Masterpiece.
That was great.
Bri.
And-
Bri.
okay,
Bri.
so
Bri.
he was
Shut
not
up.
the
Bri. Who's that
director.
gun? Who's the gun for?
Yeah.
What's
the
the
what?
gun for?
What's the gun for?
Wasted on you.
I haven't seen that movie in so long, Jim.
Don't you play dumb with me, you fuck.
Listen, just say waffles. That's all I never remember from that movie.
Well, we have a new cover-up word.
Damn it, Jim.
And he didn't say waffles. He said pancakes before biting them, Brian. Christ. Yeah.
Did he? Oh, I
No.
thought he said waffles. It shows how long ago I've seen that movie, Jim. Oh, no. He was not attached. They did a remake, the 2016 Cabin Fever. He was not director. He was a writer and an executive.
I had no idea they did a remake of that.
I didn't either, and apparently it only made $39,000.
Oh, my God. I think Thanksgiving made more money than that.
Yeah, the director was Travis Z.
Well,
Or Zarwini. I have no fucking idea. But my whole point is, so it's like, I really want to see the movie because I need to see, like, is it as bad as we talk about? Because what was that, oh, fuck. Was it Perfect Dark with Christian Slater?
oh, no, Alone in the Dark.
Alone in the Dark. That was another one I didn't see and I heard was absolutely terrible. But given the director for that one, you're like, I'm not shocked.
Well, Brian, we did see Morbius.
And you know what? It wasn't as bad as everyone
Yeah,
hated.
I agree.
It was like, yeah, it wasn't good, but the meme it became, I'm like, have you guys seen some other movies? Have you seen fucking half the Marvel movies that have come out since Endgame? Like, and that's the movie you're going to make fun of?
I haven't watched a single one since Endgame because Endgame has end in the title, which is what it should have fucking done.
You didn't see half the movies leading up to
And it didn't
Endgame.
fucking matter that I didn't either. Oh, no, I didn't see
did
Thor 2.
matter.
Oh, shit.
It does
No, it
matter.
doesn't.
It all
It did
matters.
not. You did not need to see every
Listen.
single one of those fucking things.
It'd be like, hey, I played Sonic 1, and then I didn't play anything till Shadow. Does it matter in between?
Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, I bring up Borderlands because I'm just like, I need to see it. I want both of us to see it. Maybe that'll be the thing me, you, and Nick do for the next. Well, I know we actually still
Right.
need to
Watch
do
goddamn Dragon Ball.
Jim, give me it. You have it.
No,
don't
I
you?
just downloaded it off fucking Amazon, where I paid for a rental.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Good.
I'll do that.
Do that.
Shut up.
Fuck.
But then the next movie will be Borderlands, and we'll all have to
Good.
watch that. So how did your Lion's Head treat?
Well, Bri, I had 4 of them, and then I moved on to one of the garage beers because there was also some of them left over that I brought home too. So,
and your thoughts on?
I mean,
garage beer?
it's a Bud Light Lime. Yeah,
It's fine.
It's exactly like a Bud Light
Nothing
Lime. Like
special.
I like Bud Light Lime. It's a great summer beer. This is a perfectly fine summer beer. It's fine. Nothing special. Nice and limey. It's good.
Yeah, Tusk, good beer, strong. Taste wise, I don't need to ever get it again. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just it's so in the crowd with every other double IPA that you can get cheaper ones and have just the same amount of fun. So with that, everyone, we want to say thank you all so much for listening and watching. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and make sure you comment on all of our videos. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, please hit subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and even if you want to bash us in the comments, we will read those on each and every one of these Power Hour podcasts. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.